uploaded it because I put on the lighter palette this morning, but my eyes have been streaming outside with hay fever. As soon as I went out, my eyes have been streaming, so I do need to touch it up anyway, and I'm going to give you my thoughts. But I've also got here, let me see if I can show you. Look, these are all my instant looking palettes, all lined up and ready to do some swatch comparisons. And I've also got my powders and bronzers, so in another little thing which is not as easy to pick up, so we can do plenty of swatch comparisons. Now, did someone just say hello? No, not yet. Right. Oh, got one person joined, one person liked. That's all good. And I'm a fantastic uncle. Obviously not using my normal mug. So while we're waiting for others, I'm just going to touch up this. Hello there, Colette. So I just uploaded, I was just explaining, I've uploaded a quick try on of this lighter palette. Hello, Bushra. Right, can you see me, anyone? Can anyone see me? Yes, my sister called me. Can you see me, anyone? Ah, no, it wasn't my sister this time. It was Mick. Now, I am so annoyed with my family. I do one live a week between 1 and 2. And he rings at 1 o'clock. Mick is in trouble. Sorry, guys. Oh, now got something in my eyes. Right. Okay, let me just recap. I'm really sorry about that. My sister knows not to ring me. I chatted to her before. And Mick, I said, I'll call you back later. Right. I did a try-on of the lighter palette this morning. And I videoed it. And I've just uploaded it. So if you haven't had a chance to look at that, have a look at that. I've got to touch it up, though, because I went out to have my COVID jab. Yeah, I've had my second one. And my eyes were really watering, streaming with the hay fever. So I need to touch it up anyway, but I'm going to give you my thoughts. But also, I was just showing you that I've got ready, look at this, all my instant looking palettes. I don't know why I'm shouting. It's because I'm excited to join you guys. And I've got also my powders and all my bronzers so that we can do some comparisons. Okay? But let me just touch this up while I'm saying hello to you all, right? I know, I love these instant looking palettes. So this one here, I'm going to recap a bit of what I've said in my video, obviously. But do look at the video because I've gone and done a first impression. All this reminds me of and whatever. So do take a look at that afterwards. This first shade in the lighter... So the lighter palette is called Pretty Blushed Beauty. Hello, everyone. Hello, Terry. Hello, Maria. Hello, Bushra. Hello, Colette. Hello, Shahina. So I'm now fully vaccinated, everyone. Right. Okay, so we're there. So this one is like a peachy gold, this first shade here. This one, the Eye Enhance, I didn't get on as much with that. I'll tell you why, because it's quite shimmery. So if I was to do this again, you see what I mean? I don't like putting shimmer up there, because for my hooded lids, it just highlights the hood. And so that one, if I was to do this again, I would probably put this one on this side, and then I'd put this one here on the outer corner, and then I'd save this smoke, which is a matte, to go into my sockets. I'm going to show you what I mean, because this enhanced shade is throwing too much light on the hood. Can you see what I mean? So if you've got hooded lids, I would definitely avoid the enhanced shade of the lighter palette in that area. I can't really cover it up now because it's too shimmery. But if I was to do this again, that's what I would do. I would avoid putting the enhanced shade in the socket because it doesn't work for my eye shape. But I'm just putting the smoke on. Now, I said if you're very fair, you might want to just use the smoke as a liner. Okay, but obviously, if you've got medium skin, you can get away with using it as a transition. And also what I did is, in my video, I'll try not to repeat too much of it. I'll come to your comments in a minute because I'm just doing a quick recap. But what I did in my video is to talk about, like, if you really fancy getting both of them and you're my colouring, what to do with a bronzer that's too light so that you get some use out of it, what to do with a powder, and also, you know, little tips and tricks. And I'll also do the same talking about the darker palette if you're fair. So if you think, do you know what, I really want to get both, but that's silly because one is, I'm going to tell you that if you're my skin tone, you are going to be in a bit of a quandary because this highlighter actually works better than in the other palette for me. I'll show you what I mean. This is more of a champagne colour that works better for doing this. The other one was way too dark for me to do that with it. Okay, so, and yet the bronzer in this palette, doesn't show up on me at all. I'll show you what I mean. The bronzer, look, nothing. I mean, you could use it as a powder if you're darker skinned, but it's really not. I could put it on my English chest. You know, I've always said I've got an English chest. Here we go. There, it would work on my English chest. Indian head and English chest. My mum gave me my chest and my dad gave me my face. So you can see that it would work, excuse me, it would work on fair skin, but it just doesn't work on my face. Okay? So it will balance out. But you can also, I'm going to repeat myself, but if you really want to get the light one and you know that the bronzer's not going to work for you, the other way you can use the bronzer is you can take it on an eyeshadow brush and use it as a really good transition shade. Like that. So, and a great way to use a bronzer that's too light. I'm repeating myself now, but never mind. I just enjoy chatting to you ladies. And a great way to use a bronzer that's too light is also, it works really well as a nose contour. See, look, it's really contoured my nose, even though it's too fair for the rest of my face. So that's how to get use out of, if you're tempted to buy both palettes and yet you know that the bronzer's not going to work for you in the traditional way, that's how you can use it. But it is annoying because if you're medium skin tone similar to mine, the bronzer's going to be too light. But in the other palette, the highlighter's going to be too dark. So you're going to have to get both of them. Right. So I'm not very keen on this as an enhance because that would make you do that and it's just too shimmery. So as I said, I would put the enhanced shade. If you've got hooded lids like me, I would go for number 2. I would put the enhanced shade on the outer corner only, like that. But then I would stick with the eye smoke to go in the socket. The eye smoke, or if that's too dark for you, then use the bronzer. And that's the other thing. Just because this says bronzer and that says powder and that says blush, it doesn't mean you can't use them anywhere else, because pigment is pigment. I mean, you could use a bit of, even this cheek one, you could put a bit of that on to kind of intensify the peachiness of that first shade. There you go. Now, I absolutely love this peach blush because it's very similar to the pop shade of First Love. And so therefore, it's good at getting rid of, it's good, you see the brown spots that I've got under there? It's really good at actually cancelling them out a bit. So I'm loving that blush. And as I say, in the summer, I could get away with using the bronzer as a powder. Okay? So that's, and the powder, you know, I always use light powder anyway, because it's got a pinkish undertone, and I've explained all of that in the video. So that is kind of, that is the light. Okay? And the lipstick I've got on is, oh, what's it called? The lipstick that I've got on is the little refill that I got, which is called Wedding Bells. And now, Rebecca, remind me, did you say that Wedding Bells is the matte version of Nude Romance? Which one did you say Wedding Bells was the matte version of? Because I was just going to quickly try that before we jump into swatch comparisons of the palettes. Let me show you Nude Romance. Thank you. It's a, I like the eyeshadow, as I said, and I like the blush. Obviously, the other one is a better colour for me. I didn't think you had lipstick on. It's worn off a little bit under the mask. But, yeah, I did have a little bit of lipstick on. This is Nude Romance. I don't think this is actually the same as... So, Rebecca, what was Nude Romance? Yeah, I'm thinking you said it was... So that Nude Romance is the kissing formula. Now, let's just check his Wedding Bells. Because the Wedding Bells actually surprised me when I put it on, because it looks quite pink on me. And yet it doesn't when I swatch it. So here's Wedding Bells. No, it's pinker. So that's Wedding Bells. Let me top it up so you can see. My absolute favourite lipstick of this collection, and one of my favourite all times, is this new one in called Nude Romance, though. It looks so lovely on. It's such a lovely shade. And I know it's 50 Shades of Elastoplast, but it's a particularly nice shade of Elastoplast. Now, I'm going to put a little bit of eyeliner on. If I can find it. I did put it here somewhere. Where are you? Yeah, it's a lot pink. We'll have to work it out, because I know that you said that Nude Romance was the kissing version of another one. And I can't remember what it was. I'm just going to put... I'm absolutely obsessed with these liners. I've only got one more to get now. But they are my all-time favourite. And I haven't sharpened it. Oh, never mind. It'll do. This is Victoria Beckham, the brown one. I just want to get the grey one. I've got black now, I've got burgundy, and I've got the gold. And I love them. They're so soft and they're so long-lasting. They just make putting your eyeliner on a dream. This is a brown. Once you smudge it out, it will look brown. Don't worry. I know, I can't. She's got so many that are similar, hasn't she, that it's difficult. But they definitely, that's what she does, is she does a lipstick instead of, she's very crafty, ladies. If you think about it, if she said, right, this is the Matte Revolution version of, think of a kissing formula, right? So she said, this is Pillow Talk Kissing, and this is Pillow Talk Matte Revolution. You choose one or the other, but she doesn't do that. She gives them a different name so that you think, oh, that's a new lipstick, and you buy both. Right, that's the brown Victoria Beckham. It's perhaps a bit harsh with this look. I thought it would blend out a bit more than that. But nevertheless, that will work once I've got some mascara on, and then I'm going to do some swatch comparisons for you. Right, where's my mascara? Have I got some mascara? Excuse me a second. I've also got all my Glowgasm palettes, but I don't really think they compare. Now, somebody, I haven't had a chance to reply to all my comments yet. I've got loads of comments to catch up on. Somebody very eagle-eyed said to me yesterday, really good comment. Sorry, I can't remember your name, but said, I don't think Charlotte said they were the same, these eyeshadows, as the Hollywood ones, because the Hollywood ones are diamond filter. No, these ones are diamond filter, and the Hollywood ones say something else. So I looked it up. The Hollywood ones say pearlescent filter, but it was the way she described it made me think it was suggestive of these are my new formula, like in the quads, and they definitely feel similar in terms of the formula. Just putting some Pillow Talk mascara on. So the only thing that I would say is irritating and a bit annoying about these two palettes, I love them both, is that probably the darker one, the Glowing Beauty, works better for me overall in terms of the bronzer, and in terms of the eyeshadow shades. But then I've got to switch over to the other one for the highlighter. And I think a lot of people are going to have that problem. It's a bit like a Film Star Bronze and Glow. Let me just show you what I mean. So in her Film Star Bronze and Glow, the light Film Star Bronze and Glow, the highlighter works better for me, but the bronzer's a little bit too light. The medium to dark Film Star Bronze and Glow, the bronzer works better for me, but this highlighter is far too warm. So it's the same thing. If you're my skin tone, you're going to fall between two camps with Charlotte Tilbury. Oh, I've got a spam comment. Never mind. You know, you get these spam comments where they're trying to sell something in their reply to your video. Anyway. So, that is a look. Now, let's have a look at, let's go for the light. No, let's go for, I want to look at the darker one of the two. I want to look at Glowing Beauty. And I want to look at a few palettes. Right. Now this, I wanted to show you also this middle one. I'm going to zoom in. Can you see what I mean about this middle one looking a bit intimidating? And it's got almost like a lilac glitter on it, on the top. And when you swatch it, it also looks a little bit intimidating. But the really weird thing is that when I put that on, it worked as an enhanced shade on my hooded lids. It didn't actually give that shimmer too much. So it's a really strange one. It actually goes on very differently to actually how it is. But this one here, I wanted to do a comparison of this one, and I want to look at, I've put these in order of when they came out so I can reach for them pretty quickly. I wanted to look at Beauty Glow and compare the enhanced shades. Now, I will do another video of swatch comparisons, but I do think, unless you're a collector, if you're a collector, you're going to buy them anyway, right? If you're not a collector, swatch comparisons with previous instant looking at palettes are only useful in as much as the ones that you can still buy. Because if I say, oh, well, that looks like Natural Beauty, well, it doesn't really matter because you can't buy Natural Beauty anymore. So I have to think about what's useful. I think you can buy a Stoned Rose still. I'm going to look up what you can still buy because I think it's useful to get a comparison between the ones that you can still buy. So, hello, Aisha. Right, this is... Let me just get rid of that for a minute. Come without wipes again, as usual. Right, this is the the Eye Brighten from Beauty Glow. So that was the third palette she brought out. Remember this one? Do you remember that one? This is one of my favourites. Okay, that's the Eye Brighten shade. So I just wanted to compare it with this darker one. Right, that's got, yeah, as I thought, it's got more pink in it. And you can see that in... So this is more of your classic rose gold than that one. That was from Beauty Glow. This is from the new gorgeous... What's it called? Glowing Beauty. Now, this is the other thing. She's got another palette called... An instant look in a palette called Gorgeous Glowing Beauty. Glowing Beauty, Gorgeous Glowing Beauty. Very similar names. Let's have a look and see whether they're similar. Right, let me just show you. So underneath is Gorgeous Glowing Beauty, and on the top is Glowing Beauty. Similar-ish. It's the eyeshadows that come out differently. So let's have a look at that Eye Brighten and see. I'm going to get myself into a right pickle here. Yes, very similar to Gorgeous Glowing Beauty, the Eye Brighten. Okay, so that is the Eye Brighten from Beauty Glow. That is the Eye Brighten from the new one, Glowing Beauty. And this is the Eye Brighten from Gorgeous Glowing Beauty, which looks the same, actually. Can you get Gorgeous Glowing Beauty anymore? God, my teeth look awful. Right, now, but the difference is then, you see, the Eye Enhance for Gorgeous Glowing Beauty. The Eye Enhance is a lot darker. Says she that hasn't swatched it properly. Hang on. So that's the Eye Enhance of Gorgeous Glowing Beauty. The one that she brought out before. Let's do the Eye Enhance of the new one. Yeah, that's lighter. A lot lighter. But then we've got the smokes. Now, the smoke of the new one is there. And then the smoke of Gorgeous Glowing Beauty, again, is quite similar. but it's got more purple in it. So if you've got Gorgeous Glowing Beauty, and you've got my skin tone, you might actually want to give this one a miss, because the highlighter is better for your skin tone. Let me show you the two highlighters. I had something underneath that. Hang on, let me start again. I really should have bought... I've got some tissue here. Hold on. Right, so here's the highlighter from Gorgeous Glowing Beauty, the one that came out before. And here's the highlighter from the new medium palette called Glowing Beauty. Okay, so I would say if you're medium skin toned and you've got Gorgeous Glowing Beauty, that might help you to decide, because also, let me just show you, this is the new blush in the darker palette. And then this one is the blush from Gorgeous Glowing Beauty, which is lighter. But they're similar enough that you might not want to double up. So, now with the lighter one, Charlotte hasn't brought out a lot of the lighter palettes, you know, in these instant looking palettes. I think basically because she's normally brought out one at a time. So this is the first time she's sort of, apart from with Glowgasm, which wasn't an instant looking palette, this is the first time she's brought out two shades at the same time. So if you look at the lighter one, let's get the lighter one out. I think this is going to be the most similar it's going to be is to her very first palette, instant looking palette. Right there is pretty blush beauty. Now let's put it next to natural beauty. You're getting rid of all the others. Oh, I couldn't get rid of any of mine. I love them all. I changed mood too quickly, you see. So there. Right, there's the new one. And there's the natural one, which is the very first one she brought out. So the blushes are quite different, but the bronze and highlighter are very similar. But that was the lightest one. I don't think you're going to get an awful lot of comparisons with Pretty Blush Beauty and any of her previous ones, because a lot of them were quite dark. That's the one you don't have, the natural one. Yeah, it was I love that actually. When Jack was in hospital having an operation, I took Natural Beauty with me into the hospital because I wanted to look sort of alive in the morning, but without looking done up like a dog's dinner, you know, and looking vain. I'm sitting there putting loads of makeup on when my son's just had surgery, but I just wanted to look like I was awake. So it worked really well. You had smoky eye one. Right, so that's smoky eye. Now, has anyone got any specific comparisons? Because I've got them all lined up here I've just messed up my order, but I've got them all lined up here in chronological order in front of me. So I can kind of pick out whichever one you want to sort of see a comparison of. Does anyone want me to hold up one of the new palettes against one of the older ones. And then I'm going to come and look at your comments. Exaggerate with the new lighter one. I haven't got my... I could tell you what I can do. I can do that in... Yes, I have smoky eye. I do have smoky eye. I can do... I haven't got my eyeshadow quads out to do that, Aisha. But I can do that in another... I can do that in a non-live video. So I'll make a note of that and I'll do that for you. Because I've just brought out the instant look in a palette, so I didn't bring out the quads. But I'll make a note of that and I'll do it in a separate video. Okay, when I'm doing some more swatch comparisons. So you want smoky eye. Which one? You want me to show you smoky eye? Smoky eye beauty. So there's Smoky Eye Beauty. This one, I would say, doesn't compare to either one of these new ones. Let me just show you. This one is Glowing Beauty. Very different colour scheme. Oops. I'm trying to hold them up so you can see them together. There you go. Very different colour scheme. So with Smoky Eye Beauty... You had Bar of Gold as the highlighter. You do have quite a light bronzer. In fact, it's probably... Yeah, so this one is probably quite similar to the lighter one of the new palettes. This is First Love Blush. And then you've got a black eyeshadow. It's a really good matte black. So that one doesn't really compare. I'll show you it against the other one. Why did I put the other one back in the box? You don't like the gold on you. It's too yellow. Yeah. So I would say for you, Maria, I would go... If you're trying to decide which one of the two to get of the new ones, I would say from the highlighter point of view, and you're quite fair-skinned anyway, aren't you? I would go for the lighter one of the two, Pretty Blush Beauty, because the highlighter in the other one is too gold. It's too dark. Right, let me just show you. Come on. Right, this is the lighter one next to Smoky Eye Beauty, so you can see the difference. Actually, that one, that bronzer looks even lighter than this. Is this then? Yeah, that's the lighter one. So that one it looks even lighter still to this one. Yeah, it is. So the bronzer in Smoky Eye was even lighter than the one, this one. But I think this is a similar kind of tone because I said it reminded me of First Love, and this is actually First Love. Bit more pink in it. Sorry, my hands are getting filthy now. I think Maria, you'd like that and it would suit you. Is the darker one too dark for me? I love the eyeshadows in the darker one, but the bronze highlighter and powder look too dark. Okay, here's the thing. Strictly, probably yes, is the answer to that, in that it would be too dark for you. But let's talk about... You've brought me to a really good subject. Let's talk about, if you look at the eyeshadows and you think, I prefer those, and yet I'm fair-skinned. You could mix some of the powder with the bronzer to make it a little bit lighter on you. You can also use the bronzer, as I've said, as a kind of... You can use that instead of that. Right? So you could use that as your socket. So instead of using this smoke one in your socket, which might be too dark, you could use that in your socket. Right? So you get the use out of the bronzer. And you could you could use a little bit of it to sculpt your nose, although it's going to be a bit dark. But also, as I say, you could mix these two. So if you said, right, okay, I want a bronzer, I don't want it to look too dark on me, you could just take a little bit of both, tap it off on your, and then mix it together with the powder to kind of make it a bit lighter. So if you really like the eyeshadows, there's ways that you can play about with that. I don't think you're going to worry too much about the, sorry, I'm putting the dark one on now. I don't think you're going to worry too much about the blush. Because again, you can just put a little bit of powder over the top to tone that down. The only thing is the highlighter is quite dark. But again, you don't have to use that as a highlighter. You could use that on your lids. Sorry, I'm mixing the two palettes up now. So you could use that on your lids like that. Or you can use it to go over your lipstick to give it a bit of a shimmer. So there are always ways round it if you're too dark or too light for a particular palette. If you really like the eyeshadows, then go for it, because there's ways around it. I remember when I went to Charlotte Tilbury, I'm going to get to the rest of your questions. I'm coming. You know me, once I start jabbering, I forget myself. When I went to Charlotte Tilbury, I said, I really like Beauty Glow. This one. I really like it, but this is far too light for me to use as a bronzer. And she said, oh, don't worry about that. She said, just use that one. She said, you can use that or that as a bronzer. That's what we've been doing for darker people. And then I use that as a transition shade. So there's always ways around it. If you like the eyeshadows, go for the one you like. Because let's face it, Stacey, we know you got highlighters galore. We know you got blushes galore. It's just if you want to get something that's all in one palette that works for you, you might need to play about a bit with it. Right, let's have a look at these comments. Ali, please can you show us the Beauty Glow against the dark one? I certainly can. Beauty Glow against the dark one. That's the light one. Right, the top is Beauty Glow, and then the bottom one is the new one. So I think they're different enough, because this is very, this reminds me, and that's why I said when, Aisha, when I do, I'm going to do a few comparisons of the quads as well in a separate video. So that's when I'll look at your question. But I think that reminds me a lot of Walk of No Shame. But you can see the eyeshadows are very different. And the blush is darker. And that bronze is very light. I mean, it's really light in Beauty Glow. So I think it's quite different, really, to this new one. And as I said, this one I thought was very similar to that one. Is not, because it's got a lot more pink in it, so it looks a lot more rose gold. Right, let's see, any other questions? I had heard you can use the multi... Of course you can. Look, pigment is pigment. The powder that you put on your cheeks, you can put on your eyes. You know, this multi-use, oh, you can multi-use things, and they make it a big thing. You can do that with almost anything anyway. Right, any other... That's all right, Bushra. Anyone else? I don't like the gold on me. Can you please compare the lightest eyeshadow in Smoky Eye with the lighter eye in the new one. The lightest eyeshadow in Smoky Eye. Can somebody alert me when it gets to 2 o'clock? Because then I'm going to have to start making moves to go and pick Jack up. Because I'll get carried away with this. You know I will. Right, the lightest shadow. Oh, I've got the darkest new one. Hang on. The lightest shadow in Smoky Eye with the lightest. Thank you, Maria. Okay, let's do this. Let's move my coffee. I'm just trying to rearrange things so that I can... Right, so let me just wipe down my fingers. So here's the eyeshadows of the new one. So the new lighter palette. There's the eyeshadows there. Okay, now I'm going to swatch on the other hand the eyeshadows of Smoky Eye, which are a lot more matte. Yeah, so even when you look at those two together, sorry, I've got eyeshadow under my nails. They're not dirty. That smoke shade on the new one is darker than the enhanced shade on that one. So you're going to get more of a shimmery look. Okay? Let's get this tissue. Right, was there anyone else that asked? Did you miss much at the start? No, Stacey, you missed Mick calling me and getting cut off. That's what you missed. My family drive me nuts. Once a week for an hour, I do a live. And that's when they decide to call me. Oh, Raining Cats and Dogs, where Scary Spider is. I think the face powder on the new dark palette is too light. Ali mentioned it. Yes. Now, let's go to the face powders. Thank you to Boosim. You've reminded me. So, let's look at the light palette. Again, just wiping down my fingers. So the light palette, this is the face powder on the light palette. Okay? That's the light palette. And then on the darker palette, here is the face powder, which, to be honest, doesn't look that much difference. It's just got a bit more yellow in it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is show you. Right, here is airbrush light. Look, that's how much I use my airbrush light. Right, that's airbrush light. So actually that's a lot lighter than in the palette. She's kind of tried to get, as I said, she's trying to make it universal as much as possible. So actually, if you're fair, the powder in the fairest palette is darker than light. And then here is airbrush in medium. So it's definitely, if I take that finger away, can you see it? Airbrush medium. I can't figure out what to do here with my fingers. It's definitely airbrush medium in the darker of the two palettes, and then the lighter palette is slightly darker than the light airbrush flawless finish light. It's got more pink in it. Okay, so yes, it's going to be too light if you use... Because she's now got 4 shades of these, hasn't she? She brought out a deep shade. There used to be 3, but she's now got 4. And I think if you use a deep shade, then... But the thing about the powder is it's quite translucent. So, like, that's why this is the light powder on me. It's fine. It doesn't wash me out. But then, let me just show you what I mean. If that one obviously isn't as light as in this. But even if I use light in airbrush, it doesn't wash me out because it's quite translucent. So you should be able to get away with it up to a certain point. But if you've got very dark Afro-Caribbean skin, I think it's, yeah, even the medium powder is going to be too light for you. Now, I wanted to show you the bronzers as well. So let's do some bronzer comparisons. Because I've got 3 of the airbrush bronzers. I use shade 1 as a powder, as you know. Because I got a great tip from another YouTuber that uses that as a powder. So that is Airbrush Flawless Bronzer in shade 1. Right, let's go to Airbrush Flawless Bronzer in... I'm trying not for them not to roll out. They haven't got any edges, my palette thing for this. This is shade 2, which is still a little bit too light for me. And then, so I knew something was going to drop on the ground. This is Airbrush shade 3 in tan. Okay. I have also got my, as I said, I've got my Film Star bronze and glow bronzers as well. But that's shade 1, 2 and 3 in airbrush. So let's now look at these 2 bronzers for comparison's sake. Right. That's from the light palette and that's from the medium-ish palette. Right. Light. That's from Pretty Blushed whatever, and that's from Glowing Beauty. So you can see it's the bronzer in Glowing Beauty, the darker of the 2 palettes, is slightly, just a smidgen lighter than tan, but it's darker than medium. It's got that more of a warm tone to it that the tan bronzer has got of airbrush. But it's definitely darker than medium. All right, and then the lighter palette is slightly darker than shade 1. Oh no, yes. What am I doing here? Oh, that's right. I'm getting confused which, right, so that, yeah, so that's shade 1 in airbrush. So you can see that the lighter palette is slightly darker than shade 1 in airbrush, but it's definitely lighter than medium. So she's got something in between there for the lighter palette and something in between medium and tan for the darker palette. See? So if I, now from bottom to top, we've got airbrush bronzer in shade 1. Then we've got the bronzer from Pretty Blushed Beauty. Then we've got Airbrush Flawless Bronzer Medium. Then we've got the bronzer from Glowing Beauty. And then we've got the bronzer, for Airbrush Flawless Bronzer in tan. So that's what she's done, is somewhere in between medium and tan for the darker palette and somewhere between light and medium for the other palette. What she hasn't done is a third palette with something between shades 3 and 4 for a really dark skin. And I think that's probably where she's missing something. What she should have done is done a third palette. And then she should have done something between tan and dark for the bronzer. Then she should have done a highlighter which was slightly darker for the medium palette, but not that dark. And then put that one in the darker palette. And then she could have had the powders, she could have had a little bit more variation. And in the dark palette, she could have gone to somewhere between tan and dark. Do you see what I mean? But she's kind of gone between light medium for the first palette and medium to tan for the second palette. What she's not really catered for is tan to dark, except the highlighter. Oh no, I ordered wedding bells and I have pillow talk. Is that what you're saying? Right, where were we at with this? Is that what you're saying, Rebecca? That no, wedding bells and pillow talk. I think they're quite different, aren't they? You'll actually like it. Right, let me show you wedding bells against pillow talk, because Stacey's panicking. Ali, aren't you going to compare the Queen to another lipstick? I was, but I didn't get that one out. Can I do that in my quad video? But it is very similar to the Queen. I'll do some comparisons with the eyeshadows and quads and some comparisons with the lipsticks in my non-live video. Oh, they're new Pat McGrath blushes. I've completely lost you. Oh, I'm so sorry, Bushra. I get into a talk about medium tan. Let me just summarise, because I was waffling, wasn't I? Right, so this is somewhere between light and medium in terms of the powder and the bronzer. And this is somewhere between medium and tan for the powder and the bronzer. But what she hasn't done is somewhere between tan and deep. She should have done another palette. Does that make sense? Sorry. Right. I have got pillow talk nearby. I think. Pillow talk intense. I've got a little bag that's got all my pillow talk. There's my pillow talk medium. I want pillow talk original, please. I definitely think though that the other one that I got is very similar to the Queen. I just wish I had it to hand. And I want to put out another video because I treated myself to this palette. Right, and I'm loving it. I'm really loving this palette. So that will be coming up this week. Let me just show you this, the Glam palette. I know it's not hot off the press, this one. I know it came out a while ago, but I love it. Absolutely love it. And it's really good if you're not very confident about putting on eyeshadow and don't know what to put where, because it actually tells you. It says crease, transition, outer corner, inner corner. They are really, really good. I'm loving this palette. So that is Natasha Denona Glam palette. Right. Let me do... Rebecca gets so many new products. You must be bankrupt, Rebecca. How do you manage it? Mind you, it's your job, isn't it? Right, that's pillow talk. Why are you not super excited about the Charlotte palettes? Probably because you got eyeshadows that feel similar, and I think some people resent the fact that a lot of space has been taken up with bronzer and powder, but I think that's what makes them super handy. I actually really like the fact that there's powder in them, because I know I'm going to get a lot of use out of them. Right, and this one, they are quite similar, actually. They are quite similar, but that's Pillow Talk, and that's... Oh, which one is which now? Yeah. That's Pillow Talk, and that's Wedding Bells. So it's slightly darker than Pillow Talk. So you'll like it, Stacey. And it's dark enough to look different on you. It might not look as different on darker skins, but that difference will show up on you. Definitely. All right? So you'll love it. Don't worry. Is the powder the same quality as the separate palettes? Yes. It's exactly the same. Now, this is the palette that I was talking about. Hang on. No, I don't think I've got it here. I thought I had it here. Remember the palette she brought out for the face that had powder in it? I've got these, but these don't compare. These are the Glowgasm palettes. Remember those? And I've got all my face palettes together, you see. And then I've got, obviously, this. Remember these? Very well used. The Bar of Gold palette. Ali, it's top of the hour. What's top of the hour? What's top of the hour? Rebecca, I don't understand. Oh, it's top of the hour. You mean it's 2 o'clock? Thank you. I was thinking you were saying my video's top of the hour. Thank you very much. Oh, Jack. You know what it is? So I'm going to go in a minute. I need to ring Mick back. And also then I need to get going because they all take up the disabled bays, even though they're not disabled. And then it's really difficult for me to park anywhere else and then get stuff in and out. So anyway, I have to get there really early. So, all right, I will see you all. I hope that's been helpful, but I will do a follow-up, doing some comparisons with the quads and also to do some comparisons with the lipsticks, all right? And yes, thank you, Sheena. Remember to like the live, ladies. Love you all. See you all very soon. Mwah.